Hey, all praises to God, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit. It is I, Motel Granite the Great, for the Motel Granite Show, talking about the letter C. Today's letter C is in the drug world. 2 words, smushed and mashed together. Crack, cocaine. The letter C, I'm going to show you how is y'all favorite letter. Letter C. So we're talking about cocaine. We're talking about crack. Let's talk about women. Biggie Smalls, who is a New York rapper and is adored by a number of people inside of New York and outside of it, had said something before that he would sell drugs to a pregnant lady. So I know selling drugs to a lady and knowing that she's on drugs, there's no sympathy or compassion for that female baby or anything at all. It's just business, money. And this letter C, the word money covers almost all of it, except for the spiritual portion of when I do this. But crack, cocaine for the women. The women who get caught up on drugs, let's talk about why. Why? The 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, and why. Who? We're talking about women. What? Caught on drugs, cocaine, crack. When? Throughout their youth, most of the time. I don't know how many. And it would have to be in your elderly ages as well if you still survive the possible punishment that it could do. Where? We're talking about inside the body and inside of the inner cities in a lot of cases. Why? Okay. For the women and the men included, the drug feels good. It washes them away from the world that they actually live in. It's a deterrent from reality. Drugs feel good for women and men. Crack cocaine, which swept on the scene, let's say late 70s, throughout the 80s, swept, ran amok throughout the 90s, and still is a heavyweight in the game of drugs. We'll talk about the letter C and how the letter C, I'm going to prove to you, is your favorite letter. This is my second episode talking about the letter C. First one I talked about control, but now we're on this crack cocaine. So I'm saying it to understand why the women would choose to take on the identity of crack cocaine to survive. The women and men, since we're talking about women and men at this point, use the money that they make to furnish a lifestyle. If the institution of money wasn't implementing so much stress, then maybe the crack cocaine and the letter C wouldn't be a conversation. So the men and the women that are users and sellers, the men and women, God bless this person here. The vehicle is down. So next, that's the men and women aspect. The government. Let's talk about the government. And the letter C for crack and cocaine. Ronald Reagan, his wife, Republicans, Democrats alike, and government officials, senates and Congress people and whatnot, all were and still are involved in the letter C, crack cocaine. The government, which controls the borders, whether it's Cuba, coming off of Cuba, West Coast, East Coast, controlling the boats and whatnot. The letter C, the crack cocaine, floods inside of the cities, neighborhoods, and inside of the veins of children, adults, in the urban areas, and country, suburbia. Crack cocaine has the ability to not only trickle inside your veins, but trickle into your mindset, trickle into your lifestyle. And this is a part the government plays because it uses their money for media, commercials, advertisements. The police department helps to control the process. A man gets pulled over, like the gentleman who played Steel in Juice with Tupac, and they take the drugs, the crack cocaine. He had marijuana, but the government takes the money, they take the drugs. So if we ask ourselves, where does it go? And if you can watch a woman and myself take a shower with a small camera, then you know about drugs. How can drugs run rampant? And petty dope dealers and big time dope dealers, Italian people and whoever else, who control borders, and Hispanics, whoever, can run the borders and all of the crack cocaine that comes in. Last, but definitely not least, let's talk about God. Let's talk about God. Now, God is the answer for everything. I remember my grandfather told me, when I said to him at first, God is the greatest thing I know. I started smiling when I had all my teeth in my mouth at that time. I thought I had him. And my grandfather looked at me and smiled the only way he could and said, God is the greatest thing you'll ever know. God understands that we, having free will, which is a blessing, choose to use crack cocaine in the veins. The crack cocaine clearly is designed for partying, for fun, and also for stress. depression. That's what it's for. So the expensiveness of it, $20, $40, $60 and up. In the movie Scarface, that a lot of urban people enjoy, there's this glorification, this satisfaction of watching Scarface almost inhale enough cocaine to kill a baby elephant, then raise up and say, you don't want to mess with me? Oh, you want to go to war? I'll take you to war. And he's cocained out of his mind. Goes on a shooting spree. They start to bang this man's body, Al Pacino. They start to bang Pacino's body. Something terrible. This motherfucker is so high on drugs in the movie. Like an elephant. He's unstoppable somewhat. Lit up with all of these bullets. Then he finally dies after they infiltrated his place. Kids in New York, Texas, and all over the world and beyond, fascinated with the movie Scarface. The crack cocaine using Scarface. Tony Montana, who had a sister in the movie, and I'm going to get off of it because I'm supposed to be talking about God. I still am somewhat. I'm talking about crack cocaine. In the movie, his sister was so frustrated with this drug kingpin that she said, Tony, you want to be the one that have sex with me? And she was walking forward pretty much naked. And he was like, this is crazy. But he wouldn't let her be with nobody else. He killed his best friend because he was sleeping with her. Ugly. So God is the answer to all of this. God is, we can read scriptures and learn for ourselves that the implementation of mental changing for the restructuring of the brain. So you're supposed to be achieving satisfaction from this idolatry movement, this idol God, which is what crack cocaine is. It's like a Buddha. If you're using it as a substitute for God's grace, mercy, joy, then this is a disastrous process. God is the answer, but through free will, you got a chance. You got a chance to do whatever you want. And this is dangerous. So we want to read up and make sure. So this is the letter C. I talked about women. I talked about the women and men, humans. Talked about the government aspect. And I talked about the godly perspective. So this is Motel Granted the Great. For the Motel Granted Show, the letter C, crack cocaine. Love y'all.